Moondrop Aria Snow. New addition to the Aria family. We have the original Aria, we have the Elven Maiden, and now we have the Snow. And before we begin this video, there's a giveaway for, what do you think? The Aria Snow. To enter the giveaway is very simple. Number one, be subscribed to the channel. Number two, comment down below one of your most favorite Moondrop IEMs, and also check the link in the description for further details. So the Aria Snow is quite a highly requested IEM for review, and to no surprise really, because it is an Aria after all, and Aria is probably the most popular beginner IEMs out there on the market. I highly recommend it if you're beginner into the IEM world. A lot of other reviewers recommend it as well. The Elven Maiden, the other version that came out, is just a reshell of the Aria, so it sounds exactly the same, just in a prettier style, if you will. I do like the Elven Maiden setup more than the Aria. The Snow, however, is not just a reshell. The tuning is also slightly bit different, and I'm curious to see if it retains at least the level of technicalities that the Aria has. Looking at the tuning of it, based on the graph, it looks largely the same as the original Aria, except for the bass roll-off in the back here. It doesn't have the bass extension or the sub-bass extension that the Aria has, and that might be interesting for some of you guys out there who wants a little bit less bass, a more natural feeling IEM, if you will. Maybe this one's the better Aria for you. Let's see. Of course, here we have the front of the box. Beautiful anime girl as usual for Moondrop's presentation, always with an anime girl. This one is very classy though. I really like the design of this one. Pulling the cover out, we have this gorgeous looking box design, probably one of my most favorite Moondrop box of all time. It is a really well designed just presentation in general, and I saw pictures of the IEM. It looks stunning. Let's see the real thing. So here are the IEMs up close alongside the box. It's super gorgeous design. Sorry if the light is a little bit too bright, but yeah, it looks super awesome. You open the flap here, you get the carrying case and the quality control. We don't care about that, but the carrying case is right there. Inside the box, you get these accessory box, and there's a bunch of tips in here. The regular, I think, Moondrop standard tips, and the spring tips. For those of you who love the spring tips, there's a whole bunch of them in here, and that's something that the original Aria and the Elven Maiden both don't have, so that's kind of cool. The spring tips alone are around, I think, $10 if I'm not mistaken. They're quite expensive, so to see them in here with an Aria type IEM, it's a good deal. Inside the carrying case, you get the cables. And the cable is alright. It kind of reminds me of the SSR and SSP cables. If you guys are familiar with those IEMs, just from a glance, it does remind me a little bit of the cables for those IEMs. So comparing it side by side with the SSR SSP cable, it's the same one. This is kind of where they save the money. The cable quality of this is not as good as on the Aria or the Elven Maiden, but they really needed to cut costs somewhere to allow the spring tips to be put in here. That kind of makes sense, you know. You make sacrifices, you lose some, you gain some. But the most important thing is the sound. Let's listen to this and compare them to the Aria and the Elven Maiden, which I both have right here. The dab of choice, the M11 Plus by Fio, still my favorite dab. I don't need any other dab out there at all. I don't care what's being released new. This is good enough for me for the rest of my life. Today's song of choice is Get Lucky by Daft Punk. I haven't heard the song in quite some time. I used to listen to it very often, but let's use it for today's testing. Alright, so first impression, it sounds largely similar. I would say around 90% similar to the Aria. The sub-bass cutoff, I wouldn't say cutoff, but a little bit of a dip in the sub-bass does make the IEM feel more center focused. Not to say that the stage gets smaller, but it feels less extended on both ends. The sub-bass and in the treble area feels slightly bit more tamed as well. Not as I wouldn't say Aria is airy, but definitely feels tamer on the Snow edition. Now, my thoughts on that is that it is a nicely tuned IEM. It's gonna be easy for anyone to listen to and enjoy, especially if you're new to the hobby. All that is the same as what I said with the Aria. This is just slightly bit different for those of you who want less sub bass or want just a more relaxed I am in general. Vocal still comes across correct. The lower mid-range to the upper mids are still nicely represented. The upper mids to the treble area, again, a little bit tame, so you're not gonna get the most sparkle or the little micro details or the little nuances in the song are not gonna pop as much as on the Aria, at least off of memory for me at this moment. It just feels slightly bit tamer, but all in all, still a fantastic IEM. I still feel like it has the technicalities of the Aria, but enough about what I feel. Let's actually listen to the Aria and see if it sounds better. Okay, so the Aria is much more fun, and that's all due to the amount of bass that's in the original Aria here. There's good sub bass extension, there's thumpy mid bass. Not to say that the Aria Snow is not thumpy, but the original one is thumpier, it's more forward. I would say it's a little bit, or can be, a little bit more distracting to some people than on the Snow. The Snow comes across a little bit more natural feeling, while the Aria comes across definitely more fun, or is trying to be more fun of an IEM than the Snow is. In the treble area, the Aria is noticeably slightly bit more crispy or has a bit more air and energy. You really notice it more in the cymbal hits or the really high instruments. It just feels like those comes across a little bit more forward than on the Snow. The Snow has an overall tamed, I wouldn't say dark, it's not that far, but a little bit more tamed in the treble. And yeah, pretty much that's all there is to it. The Aria is just the more fun IEM. I would say slightly bit more V-shaped than the Snow, while the Snow is a little bit more on the neutral side. So it's two different flavors of the same DNA basically. If you want a more natural listen, then you would go for the Snow. But if you want a more fun listen, you would go with the original. Now, an interesting comparison comes in with the Snow and the Titan S, which I'll do in the full review. The graph on those two look pretty similar, but I feel like the new Titan S, from my knowledge, sounds a little bit more refined than the Snow, as in it has a little bit more technical ability than the Snow. But that's just based off memory. Let's not go there. Let's touch on that topic once we get to the full review. Right now, as it stands, does the Snow get the approval? I would say 100%. Yes, this is one of the better IEM, or if not one of the best IEMs you can grab under $100. Does it go toe-to-toe with the Aria? I would say I still prefer the original Aria over the Snow for my personal taste, because the treble in the Aria is just a little bit more forward, and that's more my taste. But if you do want a more relaxing DNA, then the Snow just might be up your alley. So both of them are great. They're just two different flavors. They're still some of the best IEMs you can grab at the current price point. So yes, it is a recommendation from me. All right guys, that is it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and of course don't forget to enter the giveaway. All the details are in the link below. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. The review for the Snow is going to come very soon, so subscribe to stay tuned. I'll see you guys. Bye. 君が笑うだけで何でもできる気がする。一緒に